Okay, I woke up before my alarm. It is almost 5, so I didn't know if my alarm was going off and waking up the toddler because it was on vibrate. It didn't even wake me up, so I have no idea. Anyway, I decided I'm not going to lose another morning to a toddler being woken up. So I'm going to try to be quiet, get everything done possible, and then work on my exercises in case that was waking him up. But I got some toddler battle damage. Look at that. Anyway, time to drink some water, brush my teeth, wash my face, and affirmations, exercises, and you know the rest.
Okay, over the next couple of vlogs, I'm going to be putting these snippets of summarizing Tom Morris's presentation, which I'll link below, on the topic of success. And Tom Morris is, or was, a philosophy professor at Notre Dame, for 15 years, tenured professor, and then now he's lecturing on the subject, I guess, across the U.S. and talking to corporations and audiences alike. So they're not my ideas of success. No, they're also kind of not Tom Morris's ideas either, but he did, read hundreds of books and thousands of essays to come across these universal components of success that are found across all cultures and all times. So let's go through them real quick. The first condition of true success is a clear conception of what we want, a vivid vision, a goal clearly imagined. The first condition comes from Aristotle, who used archery terminology. In this case being Greek, he called it Telos, which is Greek for bullseye. He said every human being needs a target to shoot at, in any situation, in any relationship, in any endeavor. We need a clear conception of what we want, a vivid vision, a goal clearly imagined. True success, this is not just success, because a lot of motivational speakers say, oh yeah, just set some goals and just kind of try to meet them someday and somehow. And what happens to a lot of people is they somehow manage to reach a goal and then they find out that they're really not happy or feel fulfilled. And that's what Tom Morris then continues to talk about, is how, sorry about the shaky camera, is how we can actually reach to true success. And the first step of this goal setting to reach true success is to know thyself. And as he says, it's probably the most difficult subject to approach because it's very complex. Like, you have to really talk about what you want and what will make you happy and find the self-truth and self-knowledge, and admit that what you've been told probably is not what you want. And so that's the first step in powerful goal setting and effective goal setting, is first to know thyself. And let me just go over the second, then we'll talk about these individual components. And the second is, don't let good get in the way of best. So, and then he gives an example of you setting out to climb hill A, and then your initial goal is to reach the highest peak, right? And then you get to the top of hill A, and then all of a sudden you go through the clouds, and all of a sudden there's a hill B, even higher. And you're like, well, hill A is pretty comfortable. Do we really need to get to hill B? I mean, your initial goal was to get to the highest peak, so hill A obviously isn't the highest peak anymore. And a lot of people then settle for hill A. And what happens is they actually get depressed, and they reach the top, but it's not really the top for them. But then they get it's just the human condition. They don't have any more progress, and then they get they suffer from regret or depression or anything that is not involved with finding happiness through progression. And the true fulfillment is actually the journey. So the journey of continuously making yourself better. So what he was saying, as we go down hill A, is you have to descend hill A in order to get up to hill B, right? So a lot of people don't like the descent, and the descent is essentially change, and change is especially painful, especially when we're comfortable. So committing to change and committing to knowing that even though we might be leaving our comfortable, secure location of Hill A, that we're not letting good get in the way of best, right? So we're never going to let our comfort zone get in the way of true happiness and true fulfillment. He quotes a couple of philosophers, which let me quote them because I think they're quite germane and inspirational. Well, they are obviously because he's including them in his presentation. The first one is Thales, and Thales was a Athenian back in the old days, and he was asked, what is the hardest thing? And the hardest thing is to know thyself, self-knowledge. And then he was also asked, what is the most satisfying thing? And he said, true success. So in order to get the most fulfilling thing and the most satisfying thing in your life, you first have to do the most difficult thing, which is to know yourself. And there's a second point. I think it was Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, but this one he's from Rome, who said, no wind blows fair for a ship that has no port. And that relates directly to life, as if you don't have a target or a true goal that you have a clear vision of, you can never really reach it, because even though you might come across things, you won't realize that they're beneficial for you because you don't have that target or goal. All right, so to summarize this real quick before we get into it, is clear goal, know thyself, and third is don't let good get in the way of best. So those are the that's condition number one for the framework for success. All right. So a little bit of, I want to just keep brief so you don't have to watch the whole presentation if you don't want to. But I'd like to talk about it because he really doesn't get into how to actually approach self-knowledge, which I think is pretty difficult and why a lot of people don't do it. That's why we start out with our Millionaire Master Plan and our Miracle Morning. First of all, we know that our pattern and our habits are not what we should be doing. So our first course of self-knowledge is to realize we're not living up to what we should be. Okay, so we realize there's something wrong. But we know that there's a way to make us better. And so we're adopting new habits to make us better. All right, the next component is we're going to start reading books. And that's what we've done. And through the books, we've learned that we can take tests like the Genius test from the Millionaire Master Plan. We can take the Myers-Briggs test to give us our personality. And we can also take a $10 Jordan Peterson quiz, which will give us your personality traits, right? And that will give you a lot of self-knowledge to begin with. Like, how can you use your own personality to forward yourself in life? And, if you're stuck behind a desk and you're like, oh, man, I really hate doing details and looking at accounting sheets and all that stuff, well, you're not going to ever find true success doing that, even if you say, I want a promotion, I want this, right? So the first step is to know yourself. After we do that, we're probably all in the infrared to red range, right? And our goal should be set to get out of there, right? So that's why we have that small goal set. We're not trying to shoot for the moon right now, guys. I want to create my own city. That's one of the things I want to do. But before I even set that as a goal for myself, I first got to start small. Let's start small. So using my dynamo personality and get into somebody else's flow, right? So now coming up with that clear, concise goal or target. How do I put that into action, right? So let's do some visualization, like Miracle Morning says. Visualize that target, getting out of infrared, using my personality, and getting into somebody else's flow. Boom. All right, and then as we go through all this, we continually look into ourselves and ask ourselves questions and educate more about what we truly want and what will make us happy and what will give us true fulfillment. And then, of course, on our road is never let good get in the way of best. And I hope we're getting into the mindset that actually best is actually going to even give us more money. So by getting enough money into our pocket, we won't ever have to be afraid of change, because most people are stressed that they won't be able to pay their mortgage or take care of their kids or send their kids to school or put food on the table. So this is a great example of minding your own business, right? So we are in the business of creating passive income. That way, when we do give up our jobs to go after a pursuit that we really want or a passion, we won't have to worry that we won't be able to pay the bills, right? So everything is coming together into this first condition of success, right? So clear goal, right? Clear goal. Imagine it right now. Write it down in your journal. Write it down. What is your clear goal? And it's not going to be right the first time, right? Then you have to, sleep on it, think about it, and then write about it again, right? So next day, and do it for a week and see how your goal evolves. It'll still probably have the same framework of getting out of infrared, but how you approach it might be different. And then start visualizing and then thinking about those tasks that Miracle Morning says, like what are the tasks in order to get to there, right? Is it answering the phone with a smiling, happy face? Is it a lot of energy when you meet new people? Is it reaching out to somebody you should be reaching out to, but you just haven't because you're lazy? So putting things into action. All right, that's it for the first step. I think it's a lot to chew on right now. Take the test if you haven't taken them yet. I want you to know thyself because it is the hardest and it's an ongoing journey. You're not going to take a test. Oh, I know myself already. Okay, thank you. No, it's just establishing a baseline and then using it again as a guide to get you in the direction. And then once we get out of the infrared, we can actually start thinking about more and more about ourselves. So again, it's an ongoing thing. This is just a way to tackle it, right? Because I don't want you to say, oh, it's an insurmountable goal. I will never, ever think about it because it's so vague and it's a very difficult subject, right? So anyway, hopefully that'll give you somewhere to start. And we're going to do it together, and we're going to get successful together, and we're going to be finding true happiness together. All right. Until next time.